Hello and welcome back to another book review video. I know it's been a while since my last one. It's been like a year and a few months. But I'm back and I'm trying to do this monthly with each book I read in the month. So this will be my January book review. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope it's better than my other ones because I've actually pre-planned what I want to say. So just a short disclaimer, because I've seen people do this in their videos and I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that too. If I didn't like a book that you liked, or if I liked a book you didn't like, it's not about you, and you just need to accept that. So there are two books that I read out of the three I read this month that I didn't really like that much, so I'm going to talk about why, and I'm going to ask you if you liked them to tell me why you liked them, and it's going to be a friendly discussion. And I'll also say why some things I did like about them, so it's not just me like trashing two books and then praising one. So let's get on with it. So the first book I read in 2018 was Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. And okay, I didn't like this book. I gave it a 2 out of 5-star rating on Goodreads because some of it was entertaining. Like, there's a character named Cheeseburger, like, come on. But I wish the character that the book was focused on was Cheeseburger instead of Anna, because he was a lot more interesting just from his name. Like, Cheeseburger and the French Kiss, I would read the shit out of that book, let's be honest. So with Anna and the French Kiss, it follows Anna, our titled character, as she goes from Atlanta to Paris for boarding school, because her Nicholas Sparks-ish author father was like, hey, well, in Anna's eyes, it was like, oh, hey, I write romance, Paris is romantic, you're going there because I need PR or something. That's what I got from it, at least. I'm pretty sure she complained about that. I annotated, I can't say that word without pronouncing it like that, but I annotated this book as well, but I'll get into that after. But yeah, so in the beginning, because Anna was like, it's something like, he'll get better ratings, because, oh, romance. And I don't know, the school that they go to is called the School of America in Paris. And, like, okay, yeah, things have stupid names all the time, but the School of America in Paris, just the amount of times it's mentioned, like, the name just kind of threw me out of the book sometimes. It was like, oh yeah, they go to a school with a really dumb name. And there's a lot of problems that comes up from this school that I'm also going to talk about, because I need to, these are things that I just want to have discussions about. So, sorry. This is a school in Paris, obviously, for American students from America. And Anna's sent there, and she's like, I'm not like other girls. I have a streak of, I think it was like white streak in my hair, so, you know I'm not like other people. Like, okay, whatever. And then she meets Etienne St. Clair, who is our main love interest. And Etienne St. Clair is a he's a British American with a French name. And if that doesn't scream originality, I don't know what does. Like, damn. Not like other girls girl, not like other girls boy, they're just gonna, you can tell. Because they're individually unique together. No, so there's a part in this book where Anna is going to order breakfast, I think it was. Keep in mind, I read this in the beginning of January, and it is February 6th, I think, when I'm filming. I don't remember what day it is. When you don't have class, you don't pay attention to the date. That's just how I roll. But, so Anna sees a classmate ordering breakfast in French, and she's like, oh shit, I can't speak French. I can't eat here. What am I gonna do? So she eats, like, from the vending machine and doesn't ask any of her friends, hey, could you help me? I don't speak French. Or she doesn't just point and go, I would like that thing and that thing, which, you know, is what normal people would do. Like, I did that. I was in some European country, I can't remember now, but I went into a restaurant, well, like a fast food kind of donaire-ish place, because I thought they were donaires, but they weren't, but they were still good. But I didn't know what the words were, so I just pointed at a picture and said that, and they were like, okay, and made it, and it was simple, and I got food. Unlike Anna here, who is just like, ah, shit, I gotta run away and not eat, like, if my friend knew I did stuff like that, my friend would kill me. So you know what? Anna needs friends like mine. Because they were kind of useless. They were just kind of there to go, really, you don't know about that? Like, fuck, she just moved to Paris. Give her a break. So, Anna wants to be the best female film critic in all of the lands, but I didn't know that was a gendered thing until I read this book, and I still don't really know if it is. Like, do people actually go, oh yes, that's the best female film critic, not just, oh, that's the best film critic? Like, I don't know, it just seemed weird that that had to be a gendered thing, but whatever. It's 2018, I guess everything has to be a bit more gendered than we're used to, but my problem with this is although Anna loves movies, she doesn't know that Paris has cinemas. Like, there's a scene in the book, and I'm just gonna go find it 1 second. So I really need to start tacking pages, because that took me a while. But so on page 89, I even circled it, because it was that important to the plot. Anna realized, Paris has movie theaters? What? And it's just, she's 3 blocks from one, and she's like, how did I not notice this earlier? And it's like, well, you've been inside all week. Like, you haven't left your dorm room. Like, that's why. And then, instead of, you know, going, oh my god, this girl is weird, Etienne St. Clair, who was with her at the time, is like, I was under the impression that you were a cinema junkie. And she's like, what don't I know? And he's like, Paris is the film appreciation capital of the world. And Anna's like, you're kidding. Like, fuck. Did you really not know that, Anna? Really? Like, I'm in film school, and I don't watch that many movies, but even I knew that Paris really likes movies. Like, even I knew that, and if I know something, you should know it too. I'm just saying. That's the logic of the world. If Claire knows it, you know it. Oh. And then she's like, it's like my heart feels like it's falling inside my chest. I'm dizzy. It can't be true. Because he's telling her, yeah, there's a lot of movie theaters in Paris. And she's like, oh my god. Oh my god. What? What? Like, does Google not exist? Could she not have just Googled, are there movie theaters in Paris? Like, I feel like if my parents were sending me to a different country that I apparently didn't know anything about, I would at least Google, like, hey, is there a McDonald's here? Is there a movie theater here? Where's the best place to get tea? Like, I don't know if this is just me, but would you research it too? Because I would. Because then we wouldn't have to have this page 89 where Anna's like, what? Movie theaters? In a French city? Yes, Anna, they exist. And then she's like, why did no one tell me? And I was like, because you should know. And I'm gonna read all my little comments. So, when she says, you're kidding, I said, oh my Jesus, Anna, please give up on film, please. And I love rereading that, because it's just, I screamed that. Like, I was sitting on my couch reading, and I was like, oh my god, Anna, sweet Jesus, please just give up on film. And God and Jesus up in heaven were like, oh man, Claire's having a moment. Should we go hug her? I don't know. She might throw that book at me, so thank you for letting me have my moment. Another part of this book I want to talk about is Etienne St. Clair, our very unique, very heartthrobbish boy. Love interest? It is a romance book, so the love interest. So, in the book, his mom gets cancer, which, you know, it's a romance, so you have to expect that from someone, right? Of course you do. I don't actually read enough romances to know if that's a thing, but I'm gonna just, for the sake of this video, it's an of course it happened thing, you know? Just for the video. But it's also a teen book, so of course someone had to get cancer. I'm surprised no one killed themselves. But, okay, so his mom gets cancer, and his dad is like, oh, hey, I'm gonna use this against you, since you're failing school because you're worried about your mom, and she's in America, and you're in Paris. I'm gonna be like, hey, son, get your fucking grades up, then you can go see your mom, because he has an abusive dad, and that's important for later, so keep hold of that little bit of information. Because throughout the whole book, I was like, no one ever talks about this. Because I've researched stuff about this book. I watched reviews, and it was either Anna's an idiot, or, oh my god, this book makes me want to find love in Paris. Which, I mean, doesn't Paris just do that to people? Like, I thought that was a thing, but I guess not. But, so, his mom has cancer, Anna's dad is Nicholas Sparks with a different name, so you can see where this scene is going. They're in a bookstore, and I don't know what page it's on, but they're in a bookstore, and Anna's all like, oh look, my dad's books, and St. Clair is like, oh, your dad writes. Yeah, let me look at these. Is this about cancer? And Anna's like, oh, Etienne, I'm so sorry. My dad is a horrible man. He's the worst human being ever. I have the worst father ever. He sent me to Paris and he writes about books with cancer. My dad is so evil. Like, yeah, sure. You know about Etienne's dad, but yeah, your dad's the bad one here. He sent you to fucking Paris. I had some technical difficulties there, my phone charger, because I'm filming this all on my phone. My phone charger is where my frailing arms were, so it just knocked it over, but yeah. So Anna's the one with the horrible dad, not Etienne. And remember that, because that comes into play later on in the story. But yeah, so and then she runs out crying because, you know, my dad is such a horrible man. He writes about cancer, and Etienne's mom has cancer, and I don't love him, even though every time I see him I want to cry because he's so beautiful. And then Etienne is like, it's okay, Anna. We don't get to pick who our parents are. I should know that more than anyone. And it's like, yeah, because you actually have an abusive father. Anna's just writes fucking books that make a lot of money. That's all. And it's just, oh my god. And then since it's a teen book, I was like, hey, the mom has cancer. It's a romance. She's gonna get better. And then she did by the end of the book. And I was like, see? So spoiler alert, his mom's fine. She's not gonna die. Unless, this is another thing that we're gonna wait till the end where I do my theories, because I have a theory for this book. And it's a rockin' theory. So be ready for that. To go back to Etienne's dick of a dad, because I don't see why I wouldn't do this in chronological order with the father. There's a scene near the end where Etienne is like, I want to go to school in Boston, or more Britishly, but I'm not going to butcher a British accent here. But he's like, I want to go to school in Boston, and his dad is like, no, I want you to stay here in Paris so I can keep an eye on you, and Etienne is like, no, that's not fair, and his dad is like, I'm gonna fucking slap you in front of people if you don't shut up. And Anna, who is listening behind like a bus stop poster, whatever they are, I don't know where she's hiding behind something, but Anna was like, oh, I'm listening to a conversation in French. Wow, Anna! Wow, you've been in fucking Paris for a year. I would hope you can speak French. But did you miss the part where your crush's dad just threatened to hit him? Because I didn't. I was like, are we gonna address this? And then it is never addressed. So there's a big problem in this book because it's told by Anna's perspective. So I mean, the writing, like, it's just, Anna doesn't pick up on shit. She should be worried. Like, his dad was like, don't make me hit you in front of my colleagues. And Anna was like, I can speak French. Oh my god, I'm speaking French. Like, yeah. It's the cinema thing all over again. You know, just casually, like, there's theaters, but just now with speaking French. How romantic. Another thing that pisses me off about the dad is Anna's like, let's find a solution to your dad not letting you go to a school in Boston. And I was like, finally, maybe they'll address that he's abusive. But then Anna was like, your dad likes power, right? And Etienne was like, yeah, he does. He likes his power. And she went, well, maybe if we start telling your dad's friends that you're going to school in Boston, he'll actually send you to school in Boston. And Etienne was like, you know what? That might just work. So he goes and does it. And it works. Like, this dad is so power hungry that he doesn't let his son go see his dying mother when she is diagnosed with horrible cancer. But it just annoyed me that it was that simple to wrap up this abusive dad storyline that shouldn't have been there in the first place, because it was so useless. Like, all it did was solidify Anna and Etienne St. Clair's relationship. Like, it was just, don't do that. And then another thing that was used to solidify the relationship that pisses me off is a scene where, I don't even remember the girl's name. So there's this bully, and every time she came into the book, I was like, who is this girl? I don't remember you. Amanda. Her name is Amanda. So there's this whole thing, Anna and Etienne kiss, because, you know, you have to have that French kiss somewhere. And then Anna's best friend, Meredith, is all like, you kissed, but I love him, so I'm gonna go run away and cry. And so Amanda comes in and she's all like, oh, well, Anna starts crying, because I have to do this in chronological order, and then she's crying in the bathroom, in a dorm, so, you know, everyone has to wait for her. And Amanda is all like, oh, hey, were you throwing up in there, because you have an eating disorder, which comes out of nowhere. Like, it's unless, you know, she was there that week, Anna didn't order food because she couldn't speak French, but, you know, in a school that speaks fucking English. Sorry. So, and then Anna's all like, I'm gonna just ignore her, and then Amanda starts talking about Meredith, and she's like, that dyke. No, she says big freaky dyke, and then Anna has this one redeeming quality here where she's like, what the fuck, why would you call my friend a dyke? Which she doesn't actually use the word, she just kind of punches Meredith in the face, and I was like, fight! Not Meredith, I mean Amanda, but you know what, everyone in this book deserves to be punched in the face. Maybe not Meredith, though, because she was just a girl in love who no one cared about. That was mean, but, sorry. So, she punches Amanda, and they get in a fight, because she keeps calling her a dyke. And then they get in trouble, because, you know, there's fighting in the dorm rooms. And Anna doesn't tell anyone why she punched Amanda in the face. You know why? Because I don't like the word dyke. Well, sucks to be you, Anna. You could have been like, she used a homophobic slur, she called her a bad name, I'm not comfortable repeating this, but no. You were like, I'm not gonna explain why, because I'm uncomfortable with using the word dyke. After doing that cliche, I have nothing against gay people, because, you know, whatever you want to do, love who you want to love, I don't care. But she won't tell the teachers what Amanda did. So Amanda gets like 1 week's detention and Anna gets 2, which is a convenient plot point, because later Etienne punches this guy Dave, who Anna dated for a while or something, and then gets detention too, and that's where they actually talk. That's another thing. So throughout the book, Etienne St. McDreamface has a girlfriend named, I think it's Ella, I don't know. There's a girl, and so that causes a main problem for our young lovers, who we know are gonna get together, because it's on the back of the book, that she falls in love with him, and it's a romance, but there's this scene, like, when his mom gets cancer, him and his girlfriend aren't at a great place, and everyone's like, they're gonna break up, but since his mom has cancer, they don't. Which is understandable. If you've ever had a family member who's been sick or lost someone, you want to hold on to, like, who you had before that. So I know, like, I've lost people in my family, and around that time, it's like I just wanted to surround myself with friends that, like, I knew around that time, because at least it wouldn't be, I don't know, it's easier to deal with these things when you're with people you know. So he has this girlfriend, and he is staying with her because it's someone he knows. And I respect him for that. Because he doesn't need the stress of a breakup right now. He doesn't need, like, you know, just a new girlfriend, which is what Anna would have done right away. Like, oh, he's free? Hello, I know your mom's dying, but let's make out, right? Like, so it's just, I understand it, but but the book makes it seem like it's a bad thing that he's not breaking up with his girlfriend, because, oh, but they're already, like, so rockety, like, okay, but yeah, his mom's dying too, in case you forgot that. So it's that comforting place where it's like, you know this person, you've known them for a while, it's completely understandable, but there's all these scenes, like, where Anna was like, oh, why doesn't he break up with her? And there was a scene where even Etienne, to make the girlfriend seem more evil, I can't find it. There's too many pages in this book for me to find it. But he's like, she wants me to go visit my mom, but it really feels like she just wants me gone. Or she just wants you to fucking go see your dying mother, you idiot. Like, sorry, that was the one part where the cancer thing annoyed me, because it was used to be like, oh, his girlfriend doesn't actually care about him because she just wants him to leave. So, like, that's what it made it seem like. And it's like, no, she wants him to go see his mother who is dying. Which I would do if I was his girlfriend, but I also probably wouldn't date him because He's just too French American and British for me. I don't deserve that many international delicacies in one man. I don't deserve it. But yeah, so there was also some slut shaming with his girlfriend, because over Halloween she was like the sexy nurse, and Anna was like, she's dressed like a slut. And it's like, let women dress like sluts if they want to, Anna. That's not feminism. Feminism, I can't say that word. Feminism is going, yeah, let's all dress like slutty nurses. Woohoo! And then having a good time, not being like, ugh, this girl, the slutty nurse, she's just trying to impress her man. Like, let her do what she wants. I don't know if that's how the scene actually played out, because it's been a while since I read the book again, and I can't find it in here. But it's how it read to me. It's what I remember. I had to stop filming because my legs were falling asleep because I am sitting on the floor. But another thing I wanted to touch on in the book, and I really should have found the pages while I was struggling to walk around my apartment, but there's a scene where, there's a whole section where Anna, like, dates this guy, Dave, and if I remember correctly, she only does it to piss off Etienne because they're having a fight over something stupid, and there's a scene later on where she's like, wait, am I only dating Dave to piss Etienne off? And I remember, because I can't find that scene either, but I wrote, isn't that what you did anyways? So Anna's just a horrible person. But keeping up to the, sorry, I just saw a comment I wrote, which is another thing I wanted to address, so I'm going to do that quickly. When reading this book, I felt like I was in a dream, like, you know those fever dreams or whatever? I don't actually know what that's like, but if it is, it was reading this book for me. I wrote, nothing is real and we are all going to die one day in the book, because none of it felt real. And there was a part where I was like, reading this book is like floating through a dream, because I don't know if it's because I don't read enough romances, but nothing, like, when I was reading this book, I was like, am I actually reading, or am I just like holding a book in front of my face and staring and imagining it? Like, it was a weird experience, so I don't know if I want to read more romances now. It was like, okay. But another thing I wanted to touch on before that little interruption was Anna's friends back home. So there's two guys. I think one of them is Matt and the other is Toph. You know, Toph, Gopher. His name is Christopher, but he doesn't like Christopher, and he doesn't like Chris, so he goes by Toph, because everyone in America is special and unique. And he's in a band. And Anna had a thing with him, she had a thing with Matt, and Toph never emails her, so she's mad about that. And then when she has a friend, and I'm trying to find her friend's name, because I can't remember it, and I really should have written these down, and this is me learning stuff I need to do. Okay. Wow, the girlfriend's name that St. Clair has is Ellie. Just so we all know. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm looking for this page. So her friend's name is Bridget. So Bridget and Gopher Man are in the same band now because, you know, Bridget's sexist teacher was like, oh, this other student is better at drums than you, so I'm gonna put him in the band instead of you. And she was like, well, fuck it, I'll just go join a different band, whatever. Woo, you know, as girls do. I don't know what that was. But, so Bridget is babysitting Anna's younger brother, Sean, I never say that name properly. Just, let's all get that out of the way. I never say Sean properly. I always say Sheen, and I'm like, it's Sean, just with no W. But, so she babysits him because Anna's off in Paris and can't do it. And Anna also has a big freak out about that. She's like, what if my brother dies? And I'm like, then he dies. If he dies without you there, he's probably gonna die with you there. Which is a horrible thing to say, but it's true. But, so Bridget has joined the band, and now she's dating Toph, our tofu man. And the way he announces it is fucking comedy gold. This is after their performance. So, we're the Penny Dreadfuls. Thanks for coming out to see us. My name's Toph. That's Reggie on bass. And the hottie in the back is Bridge. I whoop and holler. She beams at Tofu. He waggles his eyebrows back and then turns to the crowd and leers. And, oh yeah, don't screw her, because I already am. Suck it, Atlanta, good night! And I laughed. And then Anna was like, they're dating? But Toph likes me and stuff, and everyone is freaking out because she didn't know, when her ex-boyfriend Matt is like, oh, you didn't know, and Matt's girlfriend, who everyone hates and is named Cherry, because, you know, she has to be a little more hated with a fruit name, is like, oh, you didn't know, and then they kind of feel bad, and then it's like, it's Christmas time, that's why Anna's home, and then fucking Anna's brother almost dies on Christmas, and her parents yell at her for saving his life. So, because he can't have a certain, like, thing in food, and I can't remember what it is, but it's like something that's in candy canes, and he gets a hold of a candy cane, and he's gonna eat it, and Anna's like, no! And he screams and cries, and her mom's like, what are you doing? Don't make your brother cry! And Anna's like, she was yelling at me for saving his life. Like, why would you have a candy cane in the house if your brother can't eat it? I get it's a Christmas thing, but just get rid of them. But the only positive thing about the Christmas scene is Etienne St. Clair was allowed to go see his mother, and that was nice. That was nice that he got to see her. And then they emailed a lot and fell more in love or something. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to address with this book, because I had 5 points I wanted to talk about, and I've talked a lot more than 5 points. But yeah, like, I don't know, this book is just really popular, so I was like, let's read it. I watched a review from another booktuber, Lily C. Reads, and she didn't like it. And I don't know, it was just a really entertaining review that I was like, hey, maybe I'm not gonna like this book, but so many people like Anna and the French Kiss that I'm gonna check it out, because I have Christmas money. I'm gonna use some of it to buy this book, because when I have Chapters gift cards, I don't count it as my own money, it's just free spending. So I was like, let's buy Anna and the French Kiss. It was a mistake. But yeah, like, I don't know, it just wasn't my favorite thing. Also, Dave has a really weird last name, and I said, what did I say? Yeah, I said, what Hogwarts house is this? Just so we all know, because I love my comedy peaked in the comments in this book. But, yeah, I don't know. If you liked Anna and the French Kiss, I'm curious as to why. And because these books are very popular, there's 2 other books in the trilogy. There's Lola and the Boy Next Door, and Isola. Maybe what I said, maybe, probably, most likely not. And the Happily Ever After. And I was like, hey, now I'm curious about Lola and the Boy Next Door. So when I finished Anna and the French Kiss, I went to the bookstore, I opened Lola and the Boy Next Door to a random page, saw the name Etienne, closed it, and put it back on the shelf, because I don't want to deal with these guys again. And I don't know, the writing wasn't my favorite. Some of it read like a fan fiction, and as a female who used to be 14, I definitely know a lot about fan fictions. There was just a lot less sex in this book. But don't worry, I always skipped over that in fan fictions when I realized what it was. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna reread it, and if I ever do, it's gonna be to like reread it with the comments that I've made. And I made a deal with my friend. I said, if I read this, you're reading it. And she went, ha, yeah, okay, good luck with that. And I read it. And I annotated it, and she's gonna annotate it, and anyone else who borrows it from me will be able to annotate it, and I'm just very excited. Also, ignore how I say annotate, because I used to say anointing, and that's like when, you know, people put oils on you, and I googled it, and I was like, I'm using this wrong. So, annotating, it's just fun to say like that too. But yeah, and it was an interesting first read. I wouldn't recommend this book unless you like cheesy romances, because it was very cheesy, but it did make me want a relationship. And to maybe, I don't know, I was reading it and I was like, oh, it'd be nice to have a relationship, just as long as it's not like this. Because, I don't know, it was too cheesy. Oh, and the bullying, there's another thing I'm going to quickly mention. So there's this scene I wrote about a thing Amanda says. She says, hey, skunk girl, get it? Because Anna has that one piece of hair that's white. Mess with me again and I'll give you more than a scratch. Dave says, you're a slut bag. And all I think about when I think of this scene is one of my classmates read this scene and only this scene, and thank God he only read this scene, and two, you're a slutbag, Harry! And that was just, yeah. Oh yeah, I said you basically called Ellie a slut for her Halloween costume on the same page, which means it did happen. So there we go. Slut shaming, not great characters. That is Anna and the French Kiss. Okay, so the second book I read in January was called Suicide Notes by Michael Thomas Ford, and I only bought this book because reading the back I was like, hey, this reminds me of a book I wrote, just if my book ended where this one begins, so I was like, that's cool, let's read it. I didn't know anything about it beforehand except for whatever the back says, and I thought and it says it's supposed to be funny, and I was thinking kind of along the lines of it's kind of a funny story, which is like a humorous take on a boy who wants to kill himself and goes to a psychiatric hospital and just has, like, you know, learns how to deal with it and gets better. And it was actually entertaining, and I read the book too long ago to remember it, but the movie was funny, so I'm assuming the book is too. But this one, the jokes fell flat for me, and I think it's because Jeff is 15, and people just, like, 15-year-olds don't have the same humor as an 18-year-old, but I don't know, it was kind of childish. Like, he called his therapist cat poop. It just, like, that's the butt of the jokes, and he always, I don't know, it's just, they weren't funny. Like, cat poop, it's literally, I didn't annotate this one, but it's literally what he calls his therapist. And I don't remember his actual name, and I feel bad for him, because he always made fun of him, and then there was, like, a scene where he was like, oh, you should shave, or something, so he shaved, and Jeff was like, point for Jeff, but it didn't work. Let's see, what do I want to talk about? So yeah, the jokes fell flat. Since it's a book about people in a psychiatric hospital, it's kind of, there were more heavier themes than that were, like, dealt with in more humorous matters, but I feel like in order to do that, the author glossed over a lot of things. Like, there's a character named Sadie, and I loved her and Jeff. I was like, this is my ship. I want them to date. Maybe not, because I like Sadie too much and I don't really like Jeff, but you know what? Let them be happy together, with a distance. And then Sadie kills herself. And it was just kind of glossed over. Like, it happened, and I was like, oh, it happened. It was really not talked about, especially since Jeff was, like, close to her. And I don't know, I felt like it could have been talked about a bit more, like, the grief he felt, but nobody really talked about the grief they felt about her dying. So that was kind of a disappointment. Like, I expected a bit more from this book, but it didn't give me that. But we did get to see a suicide note from her, which was just kind of, it was kind of like a little song that they had talked about earlier. There was a poor little child, what is her name? Because she was, like, my favorite character. I forgot her name, and I feel bad. But this poor little kid watched her dad kill her mom. Yeah, Martha. Okay, Martha was my angel child, and I want to hold her and just, she's 12, she watched her dad kill her mom, then himself, and I just want to hug her. Because she was too sweet, even though she didn't really talk in the story, because, you know, she's going through a trauma. She was my favorite character, because she didn't talk, so she couldn't ruin anything. Besides Sadie. So 2 favorite girl characters. That is something that is rare for me, because sometimes girls annoy me a lot. But yeah, so those were tragic. But something I really want to address is this guy named Rankin. I don't know, he comes in, and I don't remember why he's there, and he's all, like, swagger, you know, like, jockish, and he comes after Sadie's death, which I still wish there was some closure for, but there really wasn't, and I got a lot of things to say about this man. So halfway through reading this book, I decided, oh, I should go see what this book is about, because sometimes they have, like, books have this page where it has little tags of what the book is about, and it has a easier to read, understand summary than this, because it's like the pitch for people in film school watching this. It's a little pitch. So it's like, brimming with sarcasm, 15-year-old Jeff describes his stay in a psychiatric ward after attempting to commit suicide. And then the tags say suicide fiction, psychiatric, I can't say that word, psychiatric hospitals, fiction, and then homosexuality. And I was like, wow, where? He was just, like, in love with Sadie, but you know what? Whatever, bisexuals exist. And then Rankin came in, and I was like, there's the gay. And it was just, I had a lot of problems with this, because Rankin and Jeff did some things, very sexual things, in a shower, and Rankin was like, no, I'm not gay, dude, you're gay, and I'm just doing these because, you know, homos. I don't know, I meant to say bros, but it just didn't work out. Anyways, so Rankin is there, and he's all like, oh, well, it's like a manly thing to suck each other's dick. You know, just bros being bros, I guess. And then we find out that Jeff is like, yeah, you know what, the reason I tried to kill myself is because I'm gay. And it was like, where the fuck did this come from? Like, I get it, he wasn't thinking about it, but it just came out of nowhere. And it came out of nowhere after Rankin attempts to rape him. And that is where my biggest problem comes from. Because reading this book, like, it could have been a thing where, like, you know, they discover their sexuality together, whatever, I don't know. But at this point, I was kind of sick of the book, but I was like, I'm gonna finish it so I can talk about it. Because there's one night, it's the night Sadie dies, actually. There's a scene where Rankin comes into Jeff's bed, and he starts, like, touching him and stuff, and then there's this part where Jeff is like, I hear screaming, but I don't know if it's me or someone else. He's literally confused about who is screaming in this scene because he wants to be screaming. He wants to be saying no, but he can't. He's too shocked. And, you know, it's just gotten to that point where with Rankin, like, everything that happens, Jeff has just stopped saying yes or no. It just happens. And he's like, am I screaming? I don't know if I'm screaming, but I feel like it's me. And Rankin thinks it's Jeff, too. So that's how I piece together, oh, this is definitely gonna be rape. But then since, you know, Sadie's dying, they get caught by a nurse. And then the next day, Cat Poop, because I forget his actual name, because it's never fucking used, because, you know, humor, is like, Jeff, were you the one who, like, started all of this? Because Rankin said you were. And Jeff was like, no, he came into my room. Like, I don't know, I didn't want any of this. And then Cat Poop was like, well, that's good enough for me. Rankin's out. And then it's solved. The rape never comes back up. The therapist doesn't mention it after that. It's a thing that happened, and it is a thing that has been solved. And it was just that easy, just like Sadie's death. And maybe because these happened around the same time, that's why, but they're just kind of both glossed over. And then Jeff is like, yeah, the reason I tried to kill myself is because I'm in love with my best friend's boyfriend, and I kissed him when I was drunk, and he was like, oh, I'm not gay, and then I was ashamed, and my camera keeps moving, I'm sorry. It's getting closer to my window. But, yeah, no, he's just, I don't know, I wish the book had addressed things more. Because it had a lot of opportunity to do that, and it had a lot of opportunity to actually be, like, inspiring, but it was more like this sarcastic kid with very bland humor, like, very unoriginal 15-year-old jokes. He felt a bit younger than 15 at times. I was, like, 12, maybe. Like, if he was 12, I would understand his jokes more, but that was just me. I'm not a 15-year-old boy. I don't know what they talk about. Any of you 15-year-old boys, older boys now who remember 15, tell me what it was like. Did you call people cat poop because you didn't like them? Like, I don't know. But, like, at first it was very interesting because he had this whole, like, there was a monologue about how when astronauts come back to space, they say that the air smells like rotting meat because they're used to being in space. And he's like, I feel like an astronaut right now floating. And it was really interesting, and that's what caught me, like, drew me into the book. But then by, like, the halfway point, I was like, okay, is this almost over? No, but I'm going to keep reading because it's in my hand and I don't want to get a different book. But, yeah, I gave this one one more, like, 0.5 more than Anna and the French Kiss. like, I have, after rating it, I have knocked off 0.5 of a star, so it was 3, but now it's 2.5, because I had time to actually think about it. And this is why you shouldn't rate books right after you finish them. But you know what? Martha is a winning factor in this book. She is the reason it has more stars than it should. I think this book could have, like Suicide Notes, it could have been important, especially with the fact that it had male sexual assault, which is something people really like to gloss over as an actual problem in our society. But it just wasn't addressed. So I feel like more books, like there is some cool things in the back, like there's suicide prevention numbers that you can call, so I find those helpful, like for people who might need them and stuff. There's one for gay and lesbian and transgender youth, and then there's just the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, and I found that nice, because some books don't have that, even if they talk about heavy topics, so like kudos to whoever put that in there, but it didn't really address things. And yes, this book was about Jeff coming to his realization that it's okay to be gay and I don't have to kill myself over that, but, and it did come out in like 2008, so that was kind of already a taboo thing, but it could have also addressed the sexual assault and the rape that kind of came out of nowhere. Like, you should, I don't know, I just felt like no one was really built up in this, and I don't know, it just, like, Rankin, one, that's an interesting name. I was like, maybe I'll like this guy, because he has a weird name. I've never heard that name before, but no. And then, I don't know, it just, I keep saying I don't know, because my thoughts still aren't completely collected as much as they were for Anna and the French Kiss, as you saw. But, yeah, no, it just, I feel like if someone were to write a book like this again, which I would totally do, I write books dealing with topics kind of like this, but maybe if they do, like, the author should write a sequel where we actually see Jeff dealing with the fact that he was almost sexually assaulted, because it was just glossed over, and that really bugged me. I don't really have anything else to say, but second book I read in 2018, and the next book, oh, I love this one. So the third and final book that I read in January is Fans of the Impossible Life by Kate Skelsa, which I'm probably saying wrong, so sorry. But I love this book. I have read it 4 times. I would have read it more than 4 times if it didn't hurt so much to reread, but, you know, what can I do? This book follows 3 teens. There's Myra, who's trying to get, like, she's trying to, like, rejoin society after, that sounds horrible, but after, a depression lands her in the hospital. There's Jeremy, who had a really bad year last year, and he's coming back to school, and he's really nervous, and he doesn't have any friends. And then there's Seti, who's, like, the man that ruined my life. So there's a lot of things I want to cover with this story, and it is a very hard, like, it's a heavy story. So I'm going to start off with a funny story about the very first time I ever read Fans of the Impossible Life, because I'm an idiot. So there's a character, there's Jeremy's dad, who is named Dad, and there is Dave, who is named Dave. And I thought that Dad and Dave were, like, neighbors. I thought, yeah, these guys, they're cool. Like, what a great friendship they have, you know? Dave breaks into his house and bakes cookies for his son. Wow, this is a great friendship. No, they're married, Claire. They're married. I didn't know that. I just thought they were great friends, so there was that. That's kind of my one funny story from reading this book, you know. Another funny story is the first time I read it, I cried for 20 minutes. Like, just consecutive 20 minutes. Had a shower, because that usually calms me down, and cried some more. So that's the only funny story I have about this book. So something I want to talk about, because this is what I found really cool. My friend gave me a free copy of this book, because she wasn't sure if she would like it, and she was like, here, you can have it. And I was like, ooh, a nice looking book. So something I found interesting about it, which I haven't seen anywhere else, is there are 3 point of views in this book for Jeremy, Myra, and Sebi, but they are told in different different perspectives. So it's first, second, and third person. And I found that really cool because I don't think I've really seen second person in a book before. I've written books where I used a mixture of first and third person. I think I've read one when I was younger that had that, but it confused me too much because I was too young to really read third person and understand what was happening, so there's no way I could read both of them mixed, but I'm past that stage. I've read this book. I took the cover off, by the way, because it was sliding and annoying me, but I really like it. But the one problem is, and this is a spoiler, is it makes you, like, Sebi's point of view is the second person, which makes you the asshole that leaves your friends. So that was great. What a joyful adventure. It made me an asshole. I just fucking hate it so much. It hurts. I just thought you should know I filmed this this video 3 different times. Like this one specific, because I keep messing up. So the characters all just love each other. That's all I need to say. They all share this beautiful bond. You want, like, throughout the book, I was like, oh, can Jeremy and Myra get together? But then I was like, Jeremy and Sebi, and then I was like, oh, but Myra's left out. And then there's a scene where they are all in a bed together, not having sex, but doing sexy things, and I was like, nice. This book didn't give me a love triangle. It gave me what I wanted. So that was a nice twist. And you know what? I see people on the internet all the time who are like, why can't we just have a book where instead of a love triangle, the 3 characters fall in love with each other? It's right here, but no one listens to me when I talk about books, so nobody knows about it. It's here! It's right fucking... Here's the cover! Buy it! Read it! I just want more people to read this book because I love it so much. So yeah, they all love each other, and sorry that was so quick, but it was quick before, but I'm sick of filming it 3 times. And then that's another thing that I can go into, is how things seem perfect, but they're not. Because that's something this book really addresses. So while we're having all these beautiful moments with Myra, Sebi, and Jeremy, we have Myra spiraling into a depressive episode. We have Sebi meeting with this guy named Nick, who is introducing him to hard drugs, and Sebi is just not having a great time. And we have Jeremy, who is scared that his 2 best friends, the 2 people that matter most to him, are going to leave him like everyone else has, which hurts. Everything about this book, jeez. Like, when I was making my notes about what to talk about, one of them was literally just pain, and it's like the whole book. Do I just read it to people? Like, is that how I explain the pain? But, no, it's addressed. Like, there's even a part where Sebi, when he is doing the leaving and breaking my heart, he's talking to Jeremy about how, no, you think you need us, but really this is something that you have to do. I'm gonna try and find it, one sec. So this was a slap in the face when I read it. So, it's when Sebi is picking up all of his stuff, which he left at Jeremy's, and Myra is in the hospital at this point, and Jeremy just wants to keep everyone together, but his life, like, the carefully crafted world these 2 have given him is falling apart, and Sebi says something that it hurts, but it's true. He says, I know you think that we saved you or something, Jeremy, he said, that we were stronger than you, but we're not. We weren't. We're all just trying to survive however we can. And the way that I have to survive right now is not going to be something I expect you to understand. And Jeremy says, I need to fight for this, for you. And Sebi says, fight for her. That's when you can win. And ouch. Myra doesn't even get to say goodbye to Sebi. That's what hurts a lot. And it's just so painful. But yeah, so Sebi, like, we learn a lesson that, yeah, you have these great friends, but they all, like, people have their own problems, and just living in this cloud of everything is okay isn't the truth. Things fall apart, and this book definitely shows you that. This book feels real. That's to tie into that. This book feels very real in the sense that when reading, like, all of their point of views, I definitely felt emotions quite a lot, since I cried for, like, 20 minutes. But especially Myra, like, she has all these moments where I'm like, yeah, I understand that feeling. And it's nice to see someone that you can, like, relate to in a book. And, I don't know, a lot of people talk about how there's not that many female characters you can relate to in literature, that Harry Potter's the only book with one because Hermione is a strong female character that people can relate to. Because I've seen people on Twitter say this. I don't know if I mentioned that already. If I did, I'm sorry for repeating it, but on Twitter I once saw this person who was like, wow, I overheard this guy talking about how a lot of essays are written about Hermione when trying to get into college, like, when people try to get into college, and this person replied, well, if we had more options, we wouldn't have to only write about Hermione. And the tweet wasn't saying that he thought it was a bad thing, it was just, like, a fact. And then this other person was like, well, there's no other girls in books for us to read about, so we can't be inspired by anyone. Fucking read this book. There's so many books. Like, every time, because sometimes I get in moods where I don't want to read about girls. I want to read about boys and their struggles, which I will talk about in a different video. But it's hard to find because the young adult section is full of girls. It's full of annoying characters too. Villainized men. It's hard to find good books, but there's a lot of girls. And there are a lot of strong female characters that people ignore because they are not the typical strong female characters. And in my opinion, Myra is one of the strongest female characters I've ever read about, because while she is having this horrible time, like, her friends are leaving, she's suffering, like, a really bad depression at the time, she admits she needs help. And that is something that, I found really interesting, because, like, at first she's trying to deal with it on her own, and then there's a scene where she admits, like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do this on my own. And she goes and she talks to a teacher, and this leads to a whole new thing that I'm not even gonna fucking talk about. It's not, like, a bad teacher moment. Peter, the teacher, is, like, my favorite man. I'm sorry, Peter. He's just... But, I'm gonna try and find it, because it's, like, he helps her, and she admits she needs help, and her mom drives her to the hospital. But, like, just the fact that this character was strong enough to realize, oh, hey, I can't do this on my own right now, I need help, and goes and gets that help, that's the type of character, like, that's a strong female character to me. Because everyone has this obsession with them being, like, physically strong and mentally strong, but, like, this is strong too. Because there are people out there who do suffer from depression, and they don't feel like they can talk about it, because it is taboo. It's still taboo. Like, sure, a couple days ago we had Bell Let's Talk Day, but, you know, that was just one day, so everyone can go back to not giving a fuck about mental illness, but it was really empowering to see it. And I think, when did I first read this book? I think I first read this book in 2015, and that would have been my grade 10, 11 year. I read it when I was in grade 11, and I needed a book like this when I was in grade 10, because I lost too many family members too quickly in under a year, and I never talked to anyone about it, so if I had a book like this, with a character like Myra, boy or girl, because, you know, I don't care about the gender doesn't affect how I read a book, but boy or girl, it would have really helped me open up about that. So I think we need to find more books like this, and not just girls who, like, punch other people in the face and are strong that way. Like, I think the people who can admit that they need help, and who admit that, hey, I'm not having that great of a time and I might need to talk to someone about it, is, like, it's really good. And it's just, I don't know, I love it. I love it so much. And nobody really reads this book. Like, I haven't seen that many people reading it. So I want to get the word out about this book, because it means so much to me, and the characters mean so much. Another thing I really like about Fans of the Impossible Life is, you know, when the teenager, like, let's use The Fault in Our Stars for an example, because a lot of people know about that book. Augustus said a lot of very inspiring, bookish talk. He would say all of these big inspiring things, and you would be like, oh man, that's a man right there. look at those words. But they were definitely built for a book. Like, you could tell, oh, this, like, no one in real life would be like, I don't even remember what he says in that book. I don't remember anything. Like, anything Augustus, like, characters like him say. But this book has a good excuse for the characters being overly inspirational. So, when dealing with her first depression attack, that's kind of important in the book, Myra has Jeremy and Sebi come over, and they do a ritual where they're trying to cast out the demons in whatever way they can, because, you know, they're just teenagers struggling to make it through life with all of these issues put on top of them. And the way it starts is Sebi kisses Myra on the cheek and says, "Wear your wings," which I love that quote so much, because it's like, it's a ceremony, an offering to the gods, and it's like, wear your wings. So they come to her house, and they have fake fairy wings, which makes Halloween more painful for me, because you go to the stores, and there's fairy wings everywhere, and it's like, ouch. But, so they do a ritual, and I'm going to read some parts from it, because it's beautiful. I love it. So they have some alcohol, because, you know. Jeremy gets doused in some glitter, because he doesn't have wings, and where is it? "We are here to draw out the demons," he declared. This is Sebi. "Drink, and speak the name of which you must defeat." And then, you know, Myra is like, "Depression with a side effect of chronic fatigue," I can't say that word, "syndrome." And Sebi's like, more poetic. And she says, "The demon of sadness, the aches of daily life, the reason not to live." And then Jeremy says, "Being afraid." And it's just... And then Sebi says, "Being alone," which just fucking hurts because of the end of this book, but you know. And then some stuff happens, and they're just having, like, you know, they're like banishing the demons, and it's not actually going to help. This book isn't saying, yeah, just hanging out with your friends and being like, get rid of your depression works. It's just a way that, you know, they've come to deal with things. And then Sebi says, "May we live impossibly," Sebi said when he opened his eyes. "Against all odds, may people look at us and wonder how such jewels can sparkle in the sad desert of the world. May we live the impossible life." And, you know, if anyone else said this in any other situation, it would be like, okay, that's so fucking cheesy. But he's saying it in, like, a ritual where they're trying to, like, inspire themselves to live better and, like, be better. So it works beautifully there. And then he goes to her bed, and he's like, "The demon lives here," and he has, like, incense. And he's trying to, like, you know, they're trying to, like, get the demons out. And it's just a beautiful little scene where they're like, it's not going to make you better, but it does help to know that there are people out there who are supportive of you and will help you through these tough times. And it's just, it was such a beautiful scene, and I love reading that scene every time I read this book, even though it does hurt because of the ending of the book. And the things come back, like when Jeremy asks to stop being afraid, it comes back on page 242 where he's painting, and he says, "I had asked to stop being afraid, and I wanted to believe that I could." And it's just, you know, like, these things aren't forgotten, and it's just, oh, it's so beautiful. And this book hurts. But I don't know, I don't know how to convince people to read this book, because it's one of those books where I just don't know how to say things, and my feet are falling asleep again. Nick. I fucking hate Nick. That's moving on. I don't really think there's anything else that I want to address here. Besides, this book is beautiful. A lot of people say that it portrays depression in a way that they can relate to more, which I find cool. Because, I don't know, a lot of books are just, like, with suicide notes. It's like, I'm sad and I'm going to be sarcastic. But in this one, characters are actually allowed to feel things. And there's some parts with Myra, like, there's a scene where she's, having a depression moment, like a deep moment, and she wants to hurt herself, but instead she takes some medicine so she'll fall asleep fast that night and just not deal with it. And it's, I don't know, just that scene, the whole book, it's beautiful. And it makes me feel better when I read it. I read it sometimes when I'm sad, which doesn't usually help, but it also has that, like, things will be better vibe to it, because the ending of the book is about, you know, like, it's everything is okay by the end, even if it's not for you. For the characters, it's okay, but there's still that pain that exists. They're not completely healed. It's real. So that concludes my January review. I thought I was going to say more about Fans of the Impossible Life than I did, but everything has just kind of left me. But I do want to make a video about, like, my top favorite books, so it will come back eventually. Let's be honest, this is one of my favorite books. But, yeah. So, Anna and the French Kiss, not that great. Suicide Note's a bit better, but not that by much. And Fans of the Impossible Life, please read it, because I want more people to read this book. I want more people to talk about this book. It's relatable, and I find it very inspiring. So, I don't know, I want to know your opinions. Have you ever read a book with third, second, and first person in it? Because that was cool too. I don't know why I did that backwards. But yeah, I am losing daylight. This took long to film. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next month, maybe I'll sneak some videos in between, because there are bookish things I want to talk about, like fandoms. I really want to address some stuff with fandoms. I want to talk about, like, strong female characters, because people keep denying that they exist, and that makes me mad, because it's like I stumble upon all these strong female characters, and people are like, J.K. Rowling did it, and no one else has since, which is kind of annoying. Like, I've seen people say that. So I want to open up more book discussions, and thank you for watching this whole video if you did. I don't know how long it's going to be. It took a while to film, so it's probably going to be a bit longer than I intended. Sorry if it's kind of quiet. I am filming on my phone because this is not a professional thing. I'm just doing these videos for fun. It's just, like, you know, me wanting to talk about books, so I don't really have much to go for quality. I have my phone, I have a broken laptop currently, so this is the best I could do. It's going to be the best I can do for a while, but thank you for sticking around. Remember, the awkward just radiates off me, because that has been my catchphrase in the last 2 videos, and I am excited to see where this year takes me with books. Have a nice night, or day, or afternoon, or whatever. Goodbye.